You can have $1 million business and still have no money. Revenue, it impresses people, but only profit pays your life. So you need to keep that in mind. Because think about that. It's a kind of a trap if you think about revenue, what it really represents. In many occasions, I saw people who were trapped by the revenue. Here, near the city that I live, we have the uh, fabric factory of cars. Fiat, the Italian factory, is nearby my city. And here, it's a huge business, involves thousands of people and hundreds of entrepreneurs and small factories. It's a huge thing here. In many occasions, I saw people that were involved in producing parts for Fiat being trapped by the revenue. Why is that? Because the challenge here, the competition is too high. And because of that, in many occasions, the huge factory, the Fiat, they force people to lower their prices the more that they can. And in many occasions, they force you indirectly to lower your prices. So, what they want you to do? Of course, they want you to sell for them for the lower price possible. And but the problem is, in sometimes this price is too low. It's a price that is not going to allow you to have profit. And because of this, many people fail, many people bankrupt here. For example, there is this occasion that I had three um, warehouses rented for these entrepreneurs. They were two ladies, and they have been working for Fiat for many years, struggling for many years. And at a certain point, 2 or 3 years after they enter the warehouses, they they called me to talk, and they were explaining for me that they were struggling to pay rent because they have no profit. In reality, actually, what they show me was that the more that they sell parts to the big factory, the poorer they were. You understand that? So they they showed me something like this. Oh, this part like here. Let's say this one. This part like here, right here. To produce it, I have to spend um, 50 cents, 50 cents, and I am selling for them for 48 cents each. Imagine something like that. So they were dealing with a high revenue because they had at that moment dozens of employees and no profit. Simple as that. And at a certain point, they left their warehouses without paying me for 3 or 4 months of rent. They stay there struggling for 3 years or 4 years. But at the end, they left without paying um, the total amount that they should pay, that they owed me. All right. So we need to understand this. Revenue is important, yes, but you need to have the reality established very firmly in front of you so you can really see what is happening. You need to do this. Uh, in many cases, the revenue is vanity, profit is reality. Think about this example. Big numbers, big movement, but revenue doesn't mean anything if it doesn't turn into profit. You can sell a lot and still be broke. Now, second insight that I want to bring for you here today. A high revenue may hide a bad business. Is this very case that I brought for you today an example of that? A high revenue, but a bad business. For example, the other day I was talking to a guy who owns bakery, and he was explaining for me that the revenue of his company, it's very good, but he needs to take care of everything because his profit is something around 15% the most. If he has a very good month, he's going to profit 15%. So he needs to pay attention because he is going to deal with a lot of money. Let's say he is going to deal in a certain month with 100,000 reais, which is the currency here in Brazil. He's going to profit only 15,000. In many occasions, in many months, he was telling me that he deals with something around 300,000 reais. And then he is making a good profit, which would be 45,000. It's a it's a big money here in Brazil. But he needs to pay attention because to have this 45,000, he needs to operate 300,000. So it's deal with a lot of clients, hundreds of clients per month, a lot of money, pay high taxes, um, something around 20 employees. So it's not a small operation for just one person. So you need to pay attention. In his case, is a good business, yes, but it is only a good business for him because he is very specialized in the business. He has been dealing with that for decades. It's not a um, it's not something for someone who is trying to do things in for the first time to deal with. It's not easy. And you know something? I have another friend who works in the in another industry, and he is successful in the industry that he works in. But he, at a certain point, he tries to open a bakery in the same city. And the fact is He was imagining that it would be possible for him to open the business and to put people there to take care of the business. Now, now I understand, talking with these other guys who has been owning bakeries for his entire life, for decades. Now I understand that what this other guy was doing, what he tried to do, he wasn't successful. He opens and he lost money, lose money for 2 or 3 years, and then he closed the business. Now I understand that what he was doing was something almost impossible to do. Because think about that. If you are really specialized into this and know how to do it for decades and is very successful, you are going to profit 15% in this industry. Imagine it then, you just open a business and putting other people there to take care of the business for you. How much are you going to profit in a scenario like that? So, I imagine that it is almost impossible. And for him, it was impossible. Now, the third point, the most important one, is this: profit. It is really what gives you freedom. Think about this. In my industry, for example, I deal with just few clients because I build real estate for rent or for sale. And I have to deal with just one client per year and just with tenants. And because I rent warehouses, the maintenance that you have to do in the warehouses is it's just little maintenance per year. In many occasions, I stay for 3 4 years without having to give maintenance in these buildings. So, in my interpretation, it's a very good business. I'm not telling you that it's all good. It's not like that. But I understand that the rent that we can interpret as the profit of the business is what really gives you freedom in this scenario. Let's say, for example, I finish, for example, a warehouse in 2019. I've been receiving rent since then. Now, I already paid everything that I spent in the construction and I am profiting from this business. And this give me freedom. So you can work a lot, and yet, if you are not profiting, you are not going to be free. So we need to think about that because, you know, in many occasions, the revenue, it seducts us. In many occasions, the big numbers. And because you have big numbers, there is something that happens that it is even worse, which is this: because you have big numbers, you can finance things, you can get loans, and if you do that, you are complicating your situation even more. All right, my friends, that is all that I have for you today. The three insights are these. The first one, you need to differentiate what is revenue from what is profit. Second one, a big revenue may hide a bad business. And the third one, profit is what really, in reality, gives you freedom. Let me know in the comments what you think about this subject, and I see you in the next video.